I'm just preparing to go live, my elder. And I should be live in a moment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Greetings, family. Sister Shanice. Yeah, I'm just going live now, please, my elder. Greetings, family.
Yes.
Sister Shanice in the house. We are live and direct. Coming to you in this world. I do have a slow stream today. As you can see, it is sticking a bit, but we're going to do our best. You can also see my special guest. Our esteemed Elder Akyaaba is in the house as well for the show, but we've got live. Let the family know that we are live and share it with you as well. So, family, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Sister Shanice. I am an author, YouTube vlogger, radio presenter on the Big G Galaxy Afui Radio. I'll put the link in the chat as well. And for those of you who maybe are not familiar with my books, oh my gosh, please do get to know them. You can find those books via Amazon. Just put in my name, Shanice Lindsay. And the books will come up. My most recent one is, and that particular book is Reclaiming Our Past History. It's restoring the history that has been erased, the Black British history that has been erased. So please make sure that you get a copy of that book. So it is called Hidden in the Shadows of Ancient Britain, because we have so much. Only we as Africans can actually restore that knowledge to our people, because it has to be our interpretation of our history. So it's all going to be going on here today, family. It's going to be a bit of a slow stream, but I hope that you are going to be able to hear me okay. All right, so let me go over to YouTube and see what's happening there. Keep it locked, don't go nowhere. Spread the link, family. You know how we do it here, because with this particular setting, I don't actually get the link until we go live. I think this is the link here. It is so slow. But we just got to work with it. Yeah, out there to you, family, is so, yes, I can see that we are indeed live. And as suspect, I certainly hope that you will be able to work with it. It's frozen on me, actually, that link, and go on the road. Let me just check the audio now. Elder Akyaaba, are you able to hear me, my elder?
Yes, I'm sorry. We have an unstable bandwidth and connection, so we are going to be disturbed. You will be frozen, and sometimes I'll not hear you. But if you can listen or you can hear me, we go on. But I'm just warning you that that is a problem we have. We have low bandwidth and very unstable network connection. So we will be disturbed. And I pray that this does not happen during this interview or broadcast.
I heard everything that you had to say there, Elder. And
you see, you have frozen now.
Yeah,
I can't hear you.
Unfortunately, I've frozen, but hopefully to hear.
I don't know. I have to move
So let me ask you to please
somewhere.
go ahead.
I have to move and see whether it will make any difference, because you have, does it make any difference?
I think you are fine. If you can hear
Okay.
me, go ahead.
Okay. Am I online now?
Yes, you are, my.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me on.
My elder. Please do go ahead. The problem is my.
Okay. I am grieving. I'm not the only one grieving, but there are thousands of us grieving all over the world, because this morning we lost a comrade, Explo Nani Kofi. He died this morning in Peki,
Even if it's a bad connection.
in the Volta region in Ghana. Explo is known over the Pan-African world for his commitment and dedication to the welfare of Africans all over the world. And Explo did not know rest. He sacrificed and served Africa and Pan-Africa. And Explo has died in service, in duty. He has died in duty. He was a warrior, our warrior, and he has died in duty. And with your permission, I would like to dedicate this presentation to Explo and invite all the listeners who know Explo to join in the chat and make comments, or even call in if possible for you to be heard. Because right now I am disturbed, I'm angry, I don't know, I'm lost. I'm lost. It's a huge loss to all of us. Explo was in exile in the UK. First, he was in Togo, went to Czechoslovakia, did his master's. He was to complete his doctorate, but because of the revolution and the struggle, he decided to
Please
abandon it
continue.
and come
Please
to
go
London.
ahead. My connection is bad, but I'm hearing you.
Can you hear me? Oh, you are frozen. Okay, he came to London and to join the struggle in London.
Fine, you please go ahead.
Okay, you can. Hello, you are frozen. Okay, to join the struggle in London, and we have worked together for several years. So with your permission, I would like us to dedicate this hour or so to Explo. I'm to speak about Pan-Africanism and our sense of responsibility. Explo expresses that sense of responsibility because he sacrificed his whole life for the cause of Pan-Africanism. And this year, October, will mark the 80th anniversary of the 5th Pan-African Congress that was held in Manchester. 80th anniversary. And also, we are also in the anniversary of the 1884-85 Berlin Conference that partitioned Africa and has resulted in the situation that Africa is in now, with the exception of 3 countries, that the AES, that is Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso, who are trying to free themselves from the gamble house of neocolonialism and assert their African personality. And their struggle is our struggle. Because when I cast my eyes across Africa at the moment, with the exception of the 3 sister states of the Sahel, I cannot point to any African country that its leadership is of the type of Nkrumah, is of the type of Lumumba, is the type of Thomas Sankara, is of the type of Sékou-Touré, is of the type of Nasser, is of the type of Bembela, is of the type of Amilcar Cabral and all, or Maurice Bishop and all. That is the reality facing us. Now we have in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, a leadership that is trying to change the course of events, trying to bring down the Berlin Wall. Yes, the 1884-85 wall that still divides us, makes us to travel with passports in Africa, makes us to describe each other as aliens. And Nkrumah said it, that there cannot be any African alien on African soil. Anywhere you are on African soil as an African is your home. You have every right to be there. And this is the crux of the message today. The crux of the message today. Every African born on the continent, in the diaspora, in the Americas, in the Caribbean, Africa is your home. And you have a responsibility to see to it that regimes that exist in the supreme interest of Pan-Africa. You have that responsibility because the structure that we have there, the nation-state system that we have there, is not Pan-African. It is neo-colonial. It's the colonial system that still exists, that Nkrumah called it neo-colonialism, the last stage of imperialism. The imperial system still exists. He struggled to overturn that system, but he was overthrown on 24 February 1966. And since then, we have been at a watershed and we have not recovered. It was not until 1997 that former President Julius Nyerere in Accra confessed that they did not understand Nkrumah. And he himself, it took him 10 years of careful study of the works of Nkrumah to understand what he was all about. This was a confession of Julius Nyerere. And this has to be taken seriously. This has to be taken seriously. Our sense of Pan-African responsibility. Our sense of Pan-African responsibility. Please, the significance and importance of the 5th Pan-African Congress and this 80th year must never be lost on us. Because what is Pan-Africanism without land? What is Pan-Africanism without land? That was the essence of the 5th Pan-African Congress. And they took a decision that they were going to take over land and use it as a launching pad to liberate the rest of Africa. And Gold Coast was the land that was chosen. And Nkrumah was prepared and sent in 1947, December, together with Kojobo Otio, And it was Padmo for him to come to Ghana, Gold Coast, with a program of total liberation and unification. And he carried that program to the letter. And he stood on the podium and declared Ghana's independence. And he made that famous statement that the independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it's linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. Then he said, Marcus Garvey is here with us tonight. Toussaint Louverture is here with us tonight. Harriet Tubman is here with us tonight. What they could not achieve, we have achieved today. And we pay tribute to these leaders of the Pan-African Revolution. So please, the Fifth Pan-African Congress is something that we have to study. Then we also have to carefully study Towards Colonial Freedom, written by Nkrumah. And also I Speak of Freedom. Then Africa Must Unite. Then Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, Class Struggle in Africa. All these we have to study. We have to study them because they contain the key that unlocks us out of the prison of the 1884-85 Berlin Conference that partitioned Africa and divided Africa among themselves. And it still prevails until Arikana, Dr. Arikana Shirambozo, she came out and exposed the situation in Haiti, the unfairness of the colonial contract. I call it the Arikana tsunami, and that is what has precipitated the events of liberation in the three sister states in the Sahel, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. I salute Sister Arikana. I salute her. She had that sense of responsibility and she took it on. So please, the Fifth Pan-African Congress, they gathered in Manchester because of land. And it is because of land and because Africa has what the West needs, particularly the collective West, the rest of the world they need. So their eyes are always on Africa, and they change regimes. They overthrow regimes to serve their collective national interests. And the work of Sylvester Williams, the work of C.L.R. James, the work of Padmore, the work of I.T.A. Wallace Johnson, all of them that gathered in Manchester, they responded to the call that 1884-85 Berlin Conference and that partitioning that dehumanized us as Africans, that wall has to be broken. It had to be broken. And they did it with Nkrumah coming to Ghana and breaking that wall and setting the path for other countries to be independent and be liberated. Think of it. 1957. Then by 1963, 32 African countries gathered in Addis Ababa to form the Organization of African Unity. In 1957, when Ghana gained its independence, there were 7 other independent African states on the continent: Ethiopia, Liberia, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and all. Then between 1997, 1957 and 1963, we got about 28 others, 24 others to be liberated, to join, to come together. This we have to, we have to understand what has happened. What has happened? It's incredible. It's really incredible. Think about this. And because of what these people, they didn't number more than 30. The core of them were just about 10 or so. And look at what they triggered. And now there are thousands of us in the diaspora, And we are sitting down for people like Tony Blair and others to dictate for Africa, Bush, and now we have Trump. Wow, how can we do that? We can't do that. And I see that a greater responsibility still remains with the diaspora, because it was the awakening of the diaspora that awakened Africa in the 50s and the 60s. That is the truth. Sylvester Williams and all of them. Yes, that is the truth. And our ancestors left us with a saying that retrieving the past is no taboo. So it's Sankofa time. It's Sankofa time for us to go back and reflect on what was done and has been achieved by the 1945 Pan-African Congress, and for us to gather again and think about the second and final liberation of Africa. And we have to make sure that the three sister states of the Sahel, AES, does not fail. If they fail, we have failed them. We have to make sure that France, the US, Britain, Germany, the Western allies, the US and its NATO allies, and Israel do not succeed in destabilizing and overthrowing the regimes in in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. That is our responsibility. That is our responsibility, because CLR James, Padmore, Woodrow Johnson, Jomo Kenyatta, all of them, McConnell, Ras, they took the responsibility. They took that responsibility on themselves. But now we are thousands. We are thousands. So we constitute a veritable army that can bring about change. We must think about taking on power again in Africa and organizing and managing that power in our own interests. Look at Congo and the wealth of Congo still going out. Look at Nigeria and its oil. Look at Ghana, gold, bauxite, everything. And it's all going out, still going out. We don't have even functioning railway lines in Ghana at the moment. That is the situation that we are in. Other countries, you can see it, the state of degradation, what our leaders are putting us through. Oh, explode. Ghana's health service failed you. Ghana's health service failed you. The doctors could not do a report for you to be transferred to a good hospital in Accra. The ambulance was waiting. Everything had been arranged by comrades in Accra for you to be transported by ambulance. But red tape, bureaucracy delayed, and you had to give up. It's an indictment. I feel ashamed to say it, but it's true. It's an indictment on us. We have failed, Esplo. So far as neocolonialism prevails, we have failed, Esplo. We have to do something like what Wallace Johnson, C.L.R. James, Padmore, and others did. Nkrumah, please, this is our responsibility. I'm appealing to you. I'm appealing to you all, the diaspora. The diaspora, yes. The diaspora, wake up. You are in Babylon and you know the devil more than we do. We can't read racism. That is true. We can't read it. We can't read it. Those of us who happen to be born on the continent, most of us cannot read it. We cannot read it. And you have to help us. You have to be patient with us. There's the most difficult thing to deal with is the arrogance of ignorance. Is the arrogance of ignorance. We are so full of arrogance, but bubbling in ignorance. That is the situation that we are in. And you believe it, that in Ghana, 2025, you go to some primary schools and it is written on the walls, speak English only. 2025. 2025, how can that be? And our local languages, the children say, we don't speak vernacular, we speak English. And this has permeated down to the underclass, the hawkers, and their children. You join the community buses, trucks, and you hear them mimicking some patois, which is neither English nor the local language, talking to their children because they feel that if their children don't speak English, they are putting their children at a disadvantage. That is how things have been reduced to. That is how neocolonialism, the dehumanization, neocolonialism and colonialism is a serial killer. It's a serial killer of the human soul, of the African soul. That is what colonialism has done to us as Africans. And that is true. That is true. My life, 60 years, 70 years, struggling, dealing with that duality. Who am I? That duality in me. And that was what Esplo also was dealing with. And now he's gone. He's gone. He didn't know any rest at all. Esplo did not know rest. He did not know rest. He was in service, Pan-African service, Pan-African service, sacrificing, Pan-African service, and honesty. My goodness. And Esplo is gone. Esplo is gone. Esplo is gone. I am angry. I am angry. And it's an indictment on my generation. It's a serious indictment on my generation because the Nkrumah generation, they treated us like princes and princesses. That is how Nkrumah addressed us. Princes and princesses of Africa. That's how he addressed us. And their generation make it possible for us to be educated in the best universities in the world. They spent money to educate us, for us to see how others have organized their societies, for us to come and do something much better, to catch up and surpass, because colonialism had dehumanized us, had destroyed us, our sense of industry, has destroyed us, and he was picking us up. And he set up industries across the country. All hooks and nooks of the country, he set up industries. Then my generation, we took over power in 1982. And we set up a diversity implementation committee to divest the nation of industrial, manufacturing, agricultural foundation that Nkrumah laid. We sold out the industries, and now we depend on imports. We are importing over 70% of our protein needs. Can you believe it? And we import secondhand clothes, used clothes. That is that dehumanizing aspect of colonialism. We are dehumanized. We are shameless. And we have to recover it. And this is the responsibility of the diaspora. You are the army. The diaspora, you in the diaspora is the army. You constitute the army. In Manchester, how many were there? But now you are in thousands. In Manchester, in Birmingham, in Leeds, in Leicester, in London, all over. You are in your thousands. So organize yourselves and let us overthrow all these regimes that shame us. Yes, they shame us. They shame us. The collective West, Cameron, Obama, the French president, I've forgotten his name, Bush, and all of them. Look at what they did to Libya and to Gaddafi. And the African Union could not muster courage to attack the collective West for what they had done to a brother. Please, that is a big shame on us. A big shame on us. A big shame on us, yes. The way Gaddafi went, and all because of gold and mineral resources. And the same thing that happened to Nkrumah, because Nkrumah was going to commission a gold refinery in July 1966, and he was overthrown. And since he was overthrown, the gold refinery that was at Tema was left to rot, and it was never revived or commissioned by any of the successive regimes. So when I'm angry and I'm talking, I look at how successive regimes have handled the political economy of Africa. It is by the political economy and how they've been handled that defines the regime in Africa. Look at what is happening in South Africa. Look at what is happening in Zimbabwe. All over. They are going back to Zimbabwe to take the land. Look at Namibia. The land is in the hands of these Germans. Look at South Africa, the land. That means we don't understand Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism is about land. African lands in African hands. That is Pan-Africanism. Sobukwe, Sobukwe, Sobukwe. That is Pan-Africanism. Biko, Biko, Biko. Winnie, Winnie, Winnie. Yes, that is Pan-Africanism. My sister, I think I've spoken enough. Let others come on or ask me any questions or whatever it is. We've lost a brother. We've lost a brother. We lost a brother who dedicated his life. He was married to Pan-Africa. He was married to Pan-Africanism. was married to Panafricanism. Explo na ni Kofi. Explo. We failed you. The Ghana Health Service failed you. The Ghana Health Service failed you. We failed you. We failed you. We failed you. My sister, I yield to you now.
Yeah, my elder, my sincere condolences, the condolences for this platform. We feel your pain, and we feel the pain of the country right now for the loss of, one of our great Pan-Africanists. Unfortunately, my streamline is very unstable, and I'm not sure how I'm coming out, but we're hearing everything that you have been saying about this great comrade. It's a serious indictment that we have a health service so poor in Africa today when the country is so rich. It's a serious indictment on the government and on us as a people. We've got to do better. We must do better, And so, my elder, let me go back to you, because I know that you can be heard very well, and we have been getting messages in the chat, mainly from Kwame Oboje, who knew of the elder, and he's sharing his commiserations as well. And we have to look him up and be familiar with the works of this great. So you've told us about the importance of land, the importance for us as the diaspora to get involved in the struggle, to get involved in the liberation. And I want all of us to be thinking about what more can we do to help liberate Africa? What more can we do to free Africa? What more can we do to help and support our brothers and sisters on the continent? What more can we do? We must do, family. Otherwise we're going to see Africa taken back, recolonized, and it will be a serious indictment on our generation if we allow that to happen. Brother El Chaba, my beloved elder, please continue to talk to us, impress upon us, the role that we as the diaspora have and must take up in the revolutionary liberation of our continent.
It is that feeling, that sense of ownership, that Africa is yours and you care about Africa and something has to be done. It's that feeling of ownership. Africa is yours. Don't be alienated. Colonialism is alienation. Don't be alienated. We are one. We are one. And my goodness, we are one. We have to see that and we have to unite. We must not be divided. We must not be divided. We must come together and confer together, exactly like what they did. That is the lesson of the 5th Pan-African Congress. That is the lesson. That is the lesson. When Haiti bleeds, we bleed. When the Congo bleeds, we bleed. When Sudan bleeds, we bleed. That is it. And when Guyana bleeds, we bleed. When Trinidad bleeds, we bleed. That is what it is. And when Venezuela is bleeding, Venezuela is under attack, we also bleed. And we have to be mindful of that. It is our Pan-African struggle. It's our Pan-African struggle. And it is, we have to break that psychological divide. That psychological divide that you are a Ghanaian. I happen to be born in Ghana, but I'm African first. I could have been born in Trinidad. I could have been born in Haiti, but I'm African first. That is what unites us. Sheikh Anta Diop was very, very clear, the cultural unity of Africa. Very, very clear. We should study it. Sheikh Anta Diop. Very, very clear. So there's something of intrinsic value that we are expressed by our melanin. And we have to understand racism for what it is. And as W.B. Du Bois said of the 20th century, that the problem of the 20th century is the color line. And the color line remains the problem of the 21st century. Look at the opening of the football season, the English football season. Look at what has been happening to our fine players being taunted and being abused because of their pigmentation of their melanin. Eh? It's real. Racism is real. It's real. And if you don't know anything about racism, which is nothing else but white supremacy, then maybe you are lost. That's Nelly Fuller and Francis Cress Wilson. Yes. Please. Our responsibility is for us to break that psychological barrier. The barrier of the 1884 Berlin Conference partitioning and the borders that have divided. These are artificial borders. Artificial borders. And we have allowed this convention to imprison us. We should break them. We should break them. You in the diaspora, you have to help us. Help. You have to think about power. You have to think about power, the Caesar of power. Regime change in our own interest. That is your responsibility. You must not be afraid about changing regime to suit our own Pan-African interests. And you have to contribute to organizations that are fighting to change regimes to suit our Pan-African interests. And that is the AES. Our brothers and sisters in the Sahel, in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, they should not fail. It is our responsibility, whatever that has to be done. We have to engage in boycotts. Boycotts, we know the effect of the boycotts of South African goods. We know the effect of boycott. We have to engage in boycotts. And that is Nkrumah used as tool, declaring positive action and generating a tsunami of boycotts, which was joined by market women, traders, merchants, and all. And the British saw that their interest was at risk, so they had to sit down and negotiate a way out. It's the same thing. The AES, what can we do? Let's take the symbolic alcohol of the French wine. Let us boycott French wine. Let us boycott French wine. Focus on French wine. Let's boycott French wine. Any supermarket that you go, you take the French wine, you go, you say, no, I'm boycotting. Or you get them to remove French wines from their shelves, or you boycott it. We must engage in something. We must show the AES something practical and solid that we care about them and we want them to succeed. We have to do something, just like we did towards apartheid. Yes, we mobilize ourselves against apartheid. We have to mobilize ourselves to ensure that the AES succeed, to ensure that AES succeed and more African countries are liberated to join the AES. This is the new wave of Pan-Africanism. That is our responsibility. That is your responsibility. That is what you have to do. We have to break that spiritual barrier, because colonialism is an act of dehumanization. For colonialism to succeed, it has to dehumanize the indigenous population in order to succeed. Your language is bad. Your culture is bad. Your industry is bad. Everything about you is bad. And you are made to imbibe and believe that everything about you is bad. You are inferior. You are fetish. Your faith is bad. Your religion is bad. Your sense of industry is bad. But you know what? Were our ancestors in the Americas, were they not banned from being taught to read and write? But did that curb or destroy our sense of creativity and innovation? We revolutionized the industry of the United States of America. Yes, it was our inventions that made America great. And when we talk about reparations, please, we should not forget about the patents that they stole from our ancestors who invented a lot of things that kept America going, but the slave master took the patent for them. They owe us. Yes, they owe us. We should never forget that. We should never forget that. And we are still continuing. And a lot of information are coming out. The space programs, how we have contributed in all areas of life, in medicine, in engineering, in IT. We are still contributing. But because we have no center, Africa has no center. Africa has no center at the moment. So things are falling apart. The Africa center that is being built is in Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. That is the new Africa center that is being built. And we have to hold on to it. Before then, there was no center. The African Union has no center. And how the African Union treated their own Gaddafi is indicative that Africa has no center. Look at Sudan. Look at Sudan. 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 And would you believe it? They are thinking of settling. People they are abusing in Palestine into Sudan. And you know that Sudan, Egypt coming down all the way to the source of the Nile in Uganda, is the spinal cord of Africa. It is where humanity originated. And their eyes have been on it. You recall that they wanted, before Palestine, they raided Palestine, the Balfour Declaration and all that. They were thinking about settling in Uganda and Libya. And their eyes are still on it. Their eyes are still on it. And it is happening now. So we must be awake. And this is what Explode Nani Kofi was worried about. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep. He couldn't sleep because of what Africa has become. Africa has become. Yes. And look, I remember somewhere in 1978, there appeared an article in the German newspaper Der Spiegel. And this guy was saying that nowadays, the world economy has been reorganized in such a way that we don't have to take ships to go to Africa to enslave people and take them to plantations in the Caribbean, the Americas to work for us. They come voluntarily. They come voluntarily. It's voluntary enslavement. And it's happening in the Mediterranean every day. In the Canary Islands, boats living. Why are they living? Because of leadership failure in Africa. My generation that have been in power since the 1980s, absolute power. This is an indictment. Every single person that has died crossing the Sahara and crossing the Mediterranean is on the head of my generation. Yes, my generation. And I am appealing to all of us, particularly our psychiatrists, psychologists, social scientists, anthropologists, pathologists, all of you who have been educated in the West. Please, can you explain why we are in such a situation, despite the education that we've had? Can you explain why we, who the Nkrumah generation, created the conditions for us to have the best education? We enjoy the best. Then we come and take over in the 80s and we reduce our countries to a state of beggary. We are beggars. How can't we be beggars? Huge unemployment. The youth graduate and they have no jobs. But in our time, when you graduated, during Nkrumah's time, job was waiting for you. You had your house, you had your car. We enjoy this. We enjoyed, my generation, we enjoy this from the Nkrumah generation of the management of the economy. But we come and our people, what they want is to flee this country, free themselves and flee all our countries and place themselves in such a danger and go into voluntary servitude in Europe and in America. Why is it so? Our psychiatrists and psychologists should answer me. They should answer me why. Why? We so much educated. We've lived amongst them in Babylon. We've gone to the best universities in the world, in Philadelphia, in Oxford, in Yale, Cambridge, name it, California. We've gone to the universities and we've seen how people have ordered their societies. And then we come back and subject our population to such poor living standards, bad roads, bad water, potable water. We can't supply our people with potable water. As I'm speaking to you now, there are communities in Ghana that drink from water ponds that cows, pigs, others use. That is the reality. It's not only in Ghana, all over Africa. Look at the pits in the DRC, in the Congo, the living standards of our people. And yet, all these minerals are being taken away every day, every day, every day, every day. Not even by rails. Now they are doing by vehicles, destroying our road systems and making them death traps for us. That is what we are faced with. That is what we are faced with. And we want our sociologists, psychologists, all of them, they have to answer. They have to tell us this situation, the trauma that Explo faced, the trauma that Explo faced. Explo lived with the trauma of being haunted, of us escaping death. Because of what? Because of his commitment to the ideals of Nkrumah. He was haunted, being haunted down. And it still haunted him till his last breath. Yes, I remember in June 1983, I belonged to the Pan-African Youth Movement. We have had just a meeting, and we were going to visit a colleague who was sick in Kolegono. So we passed through Jamestown, and we saw that James Fort and Asha Fort was open, and there was Hulubalu all over the place. And people were escaping, coming out of the prisons. There was a jailbreak. And it was later on that I realized that Explo was one of those who came out of that prison. And his journey out was a nightmare to get to cross the border to Togo. Was a nightmare. And there are some colleagues who are listening to me who know the story. It was a nightmare. And it's real, it happened. And it haunted him. He could have died. He could have died. And they were after him to kill him. That is unnerving because of his beliefs in Panafricanism, beliefs in the work of I.T. Wallace Johnson, the work of Sierra J. Padmore and all of them, Lumumba, Cabral. Because of that, they were after him. Then not long before then, I fell into the same situation. They sent the same death squad after me. On January 4th, 1984. And I said they will not trap my body. They will not, because that was the birthday of CLR James, January 4th. And I said that by the grace of CLR James, I will not be captured. And I was not captured. I was declared a wanted man. I was declared a wanted man. So I know what Explo faced, the trauma. Then you go back and think about our ancestors, the trauma of the passage across the Atlantic, the trauma of the plantation life. We don't know what colonialism is. We don't know it. Our generation, the younger generation, the pain and the trauma, the pain of Winnie Mandela, the pain of fighting for her husband to be liberated, only for the ANC leadership to abandon her and force Mandela to divorce her. Why? Why? Because she was a threat to the white supremacy order. The same way that Nkrumah was a threat to the white supremacy order. Lumumba was a threat. Look at what they dealt to. How did they handle Lumumba? And do we forget it's not a lesson to us of what we are dealing with? Who is this person called a human being who can torture, cut the body to pieces, put the body in a drum of acid, and keep a tooth? As a memorabilia. We forget how Sankara was downed. And we forget the meaning being Nkrumah was killed by the cancer of betrayal. That betrayal, that betrayal, that betrayal. That's what's heart erupted by Maurice Templeton, the American CIA. Yes, Devlin and others. Please, there's a book that we should all try to read, The White Malice by Susan Williams. The White Malice by Susan Williams. We should read it. And we must understand what Nkrumah went through. How the CIA, the British intelligence, the French, the German, the Israeli intelligence, South African intelligence, all of them, when Nkrumah called the All African People's Conference in Accra in December 1958, bringing all the liberation movements together for us to think about the next phase of the liberation. They infiltrated. But Nkrumah was wise. There was going to be a session. He changed the venue and got the key members of the Pan-African movement to Winneba, dead at night, and they met in secret. So when they gathered in the morning at the conference hall, he only came to announce the closure of the conference, and they were dismayed. He outsmarted them. That was how Nkrumah was. He outsmarted them in December 1958.
This is what we have to learn to do, to use our wits as well. My elder Akyaaba, we have been joined by another guest of yours on the line, and I think they want to add to the conversation. Are you happy for me to bring them in?
Please, let them come on. Please, let them come on.
Okay, my elder. I can see we have someone by the name of Kojo on the line. Welcome, Brother Kojo. Please introduce yourself to the audience. Are you hearing me, Brother Kojo? Brother Kojo, did you want to speak? Okay, let me allow them a moment or two to get themselves prepared. But, you know, family, I think we're all hearing the heart and the plea of our elder Akyaaba. Our liberation will not come from outside of us. There are no outside forces outside of us that's going to come and save us. We have got to be our own saviors. We have got to come up with the strategies, the schemes and the plans that's going to outwit our enemy. And we have to do a lot of this work in secret and in confidence as well. And we need to be mindful that, you know, our former colonizers pay people who look like us to join our organizations and to undermine us in the work that we're doing. So we also have to be forever vigilant. And our elder was impressing upon us the need for all of us, every single one of us, to be involved in organizations, to take up positions within organizations, and to be working towards, you know, the overarching goal, which has to be our freedom and our liberation, freedom from the colonizers. And we have to work towards our total independence as a people from the grassroots up. Unfortunately, we have many leaders today across the African continent. Sorry about this. We have many leaders across the African continent today who do not have our interest at heart. They have the interest of our former colonizers at heart. What I will do, I'll post the link in the chat, because it could be that, you know, we have some listeners who would like to participate in the conversation today. So I'll post the link in the chat. So give me a moment, please, and I will definitely do that. Let's get some light here. My other light's gone. Also, you know, it's important for us, you know, to take up all positions, any positions that we can within society. We've got to be the leaders. Those of us with a Pan-African mindset have got to take up leadership positions. Those of us with a Pan-African mindset have got to be the leaders in business as well, because, you know, then that will give us the finances that we need to be able to put that money back into our community. We are the ones as Pan-Africanists who are going to have to join the armies. We're the ones who are going to have to recruit, you know, on the ground within the military as well, to find like-minded people. We're going to have to take up positions in government as well, you know, and we're going to have to build our movements within the government circles. We are the ones who are going to have to take up positions in the education system as well, because no colonial education is going to give us the education that we need in order to free ourselves. Why would those colonizers, you know, who call themselves many different names, French, German, Swiss, Americans, etc., you know, why would they want to give us an education that's going to liberate us? We as Pan-Africanists are going to have to take responsibility for the education that we deliver to our people. We have to take responsibility as well for the medical institutions. We are not going to have a medical institution. We're not going to have medical institutions and medical services that's fit for purpose whilst it's under the dictate of our former colonizers. I think they've demonstrated to us over and over and over again that they are not there, you know, for our interest. They are only there for their own interest. And so, you know, we are the ones who are going to have to take up the positions of doctors and nurses, and we've got to be there for our people. The ambulance drivers, and we've got to be there for our people. You know, we are the ones who are going to have to take up responsibility for the mining of our precious minerals as well. We can't expect people who don't look like us, don't like us, to be mining our minerals and then giving us, you know, our fair dues. They just won't do it, you know. So we're the ones who are going to have to do for self. There's no savior that's going to come from out the sky or anywhere else to help us or save us. We have got what it takes. We got the eyes, the legs, the arms, everything that it takes to do for self. No former colonial power, no one who doesn't look like us is gonna do what we need to be doing for ourselves. And I think we've heard, you know, the appeal from Elder Akyaaba that we have to get into positions, we have to pull ourselves up, and we have to do for self. We have to stand with our brothers and sisters in the Sahel as well. We need to let them know that we are with them. You know, I need to do more programs on this channel as well, just to remind our brothers and sisters in the Sahel that we are there for them. We stand for them, stand with them. You know, we see them and we acknowledge the great works that they are doing. You know, maybe if we do this enough, then, you know, they will want to start working with us, and they will reach out to us in return and help us, you know, to help them. And in so doing, we will be helping each other. So, you know, my brother Elder Akyaaba, as we think now in the last part of this show, what more we need to be doing. You know, let me go back to you for you to, you know, just add to, you know, what we need to be doing in our organizations. Set up the organizations if they don't exist. In our institutions, build our own institutions. The importance for us to be working towards true independence. Independence in our agricultural industry, our medical industry, our education industry, you know, right across the board. We've got to be independent. You know, I'm just going to grab the link and post it in the chat. In the meantime, Brother Elder Akyaaba, can I go back to you to add to what we need to be doing? Those of us with a Pan-African mindset, you know, to bring about the changes that we want to see, please.
My sister, thank you very much. You did touch on the issue of mining and our own minerals. Then as I heard you speak, what came to mind was Mansa Musa. What did Mansa Musa do when he made that pilgrimage to Mecca and he reached Egypt with so much gold? So much gold. Who mined that gold that defined Mansa Musa? Who mined that gold? What was the technology that was used at that time? We mined our own gold. Now in Ghana, we have lithium. And we pass it on to an Australian startup firm for us to mine the gold, take about 90% of the profits, and give us a paltry 10%. In 2025, and we can do this. That is mind-boggling. In Nkrumah's Ghana in 2025, we have no sense of value for our mineral wealth. In 2025, that is why I am calling on our psychiatrists, psychologists, all of them, to re-examine what is wrong with us. Why? Why have we left our societies in such misery? Why have we self-destructed the industries that Nkrumah set up for us now to depend on imports to survive? To the extent that even we import bottled water. We import bottled water, while Nkrumah created the greatest wealth for us with the development of the Volta Lake. That is the world's largest freshwater body. Freshwater body, which is about between 60 and 70% potable. There are no heavy industries in the north of the Volta Lake. The only thing that you have is agrochemicals and human waste. Nkrumah gave us this valuable asset. And all that we can do is to sit down and import bottled water while millions and millions of liters and gallons run into the Atlantic Ocean through Adafo without our tapping this important resource. even to feed Accra, with pure water. That is the challenge facing us. So what we have to do, what must we do? What can we do, those of us in the diaspora? As I said, the most important thing for us to do is to overcome the psychological barrier of alienation and division amongst us. We are one, and we have to embrace each other as one and work together as one, as Nkrumah, Jomo Kenyatta, Wallace Johnson, C.L.R. James Padmore, and others did. That is the lesson for us. That is the lesson for us. We have to pull ourselves together wherever we are, in our churches, in our communities, in our societies, in our universities, in our schools and colleges. We have to pull ourselves together as one. And we have to challenge the curriculum. We have to take on the mantle, the battle for reparations. Reparations, we have to take on that battle. It is not other people's work. And that sense of responsibility, that Africa is yours, that is the most important thing. Do not let anyone alienate you from Africa because you happen not to have been born in Africa. And because you have to get a visa to go to Africa should remind you that the neo-colonial system is holding sway. The colonial system is holding sway. The 1884-85 Berlin Conference is holding sway. And that is what you should fight against. And overcoming the psychological barrier means that you have to be concerned about the seizure of power. You have to be concerned about the seizure of power. Yes, it's very important because the West concern themselves about seizing power or changing regimes to suit their purposes. So what about you? What did the apartheid struggle mean to you? The apartheid struggle. Why were we fighting against settler colonialism in South Africa, in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe? Why were we fighting in Namibia, in Mozambique, in Angola? Why were we fighting? Why were we fighting? Because of the land. Because of the land. And we only fought to give it away. The case of Angola is very, very disturbing. The case of Angola is very, very disturbing. Anytime I think about Angola, I cry. Look at the sacrifice of Fidel Castro and the people of Cuba and how they laid their blood to help liberate Angola, only for Dos Santos and the assimilados to hand it over to the Americans. What is all this? So these things that we have to deal with is overcoming the psychological barrier of separation dividing us. Because what was the most hurtful thing that I experienced recently was my own son-in-law. I asked him whether he participated. He was aware of Black History Month. He participated in Black History Month. And do you know what came out of his mouth? Oh, I don't, because I thought that Black History Month is for Afro-Caribbeans. It's not for us. I can't believe it. And it's true. And I was speaking to a cousin of mine. And she's been in the UK for about 30 years. And she's never participated in Carnival. Why? It's yours. Carnival is our space, like Black History Month. And it is ours.
Absolutely.
And so we have to overcome that barrier, that psychological division, alienation.
Yeah.
That is the task facing it. That is my appeal. That is my appeal. You are an African. And let no one deny you that sense of feeling. Let no one deny you that. I do not deserve to deny you because you were not born on the continent. I do not deserve it. I have to prove it. And without Sylvester Williams, without C.L.R. James Patmore, all of them, McConnell, please. That is the reality.
They've shown us. Yes, they've shown us, Elder. They've shown us that we have a role to play. Absolutely. And I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I don't know if you can hear me. We have been joined for a little while now by Brother Kwame Aboje.
My Sister Denise, how are you?
Namwari, Brother Kwame Aboje, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Not sure if Elder Akyaaba can hear me because he looks as though he's still talking and my line is a bit unstable. So let me wait until he finishes and then I'll bring you in.
No problem.
Okay, he seems to have stopped now. Thank you so much, Elder Akyaaba. You know, you've reminded us that we have to remember that we are Africans as a people, not because we were born in Africa, but because Africa was born in us. And this is what we've got to tell our children. You are African. Yes. Wherever you are born, if you are dark and melanated, pigmented like myself, you are an African. Whether you were born in America, born in Britain, born in Canada, you know, you are an African. Because Africa, it was born in you. You are, a descendant of those great Africans, and we must be proud to be Africans, every single one of us. We've got to give our children that pride. Just imagine a Chinese child, because they were born in Canada, saying they're not Chinese, they're Canadian. Or an Indian child saying, because they were born in Canada, they're not Indian. It would be unheard of. And so let's not allow our children to appear to be the laughing stock of the world because they don't understand the difference between ethnicity and nationality. There's a big difference between ethnicity, your ethnicity, and your nationality. It can be any nationality based on or because we've changed, you know, our citizenship. But our ethnicity doesn't change. Our ethnic origin does not change. We are Africans because Africa is born in us and because we are the descendants of those great melanated ones. Brother Kwame Aboje, thank you so much for joining us and for being,
no problem,
you know,
my
such
sister.
a great support.
Oh, no worries.
Over to you, Brother Kwame.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Tell my sister Nene, Shanice, how are you? Sister Shanice, can you hear me?
Thank you, beloved.
No problem.
Yes, go ahead. If you can't hear me, please.
Akyaaba, I'm so upset to hear about the death of my colleague, Nani Kofi. He's a warrior, and I've known him for 37 years, Baba. And to hear about his death, it's really it broke my heart completely, you know. And I mean, my condolences to him and his family. I mean, as far as for Kwame Nkrumah, as far as I'm concerned, we know that he's one of the greatest Pan-African leaders in our history. I mean, when I've looked at his life, Sister Shanice, this man loved Ghana and he loved our people. He built so many things for Ghana, and I'm sure Baba Akyaaba agrees with me. He built Tetema. He built the Volta Dam. He built, factories, which were to do with tires, tomatoes, and clothing. If, you know, he had built, Ghana Airways. He built the Ghana community. Oh, I tell you, if I can go on tonight, listen, Sister Janice, this man was just amazing. He was amazing. And the books he wrote so well, Baba Akyaaba, Nkrumah, Wayadi Pa. This was a man who never gave up on our people, you know. And what you said, Sister Janice, you are spot on. We are Africans, whether we like it or not. From Accra to Toronto, we are Africans, nothing else. The Jew doesn't have a problem with what it is. The Sikh doesn't have a problem with what it is. The Chinese doesn't have a problem with what it is. Why do you have a problem as being an African? And let me tell this: African history is us, right? Not just not just in the diaspora, but in our continent. It's us. And whoever comes up with nonsense like only for just one section, you don't know what you're talking about. African history means Africans at home and abroad. And I've been studying and also been participating in African History Month, for 31 years. 31 years, Sister Shanice, I've been a Pan-African activist, been involved in our History Month. Yeah, and I know it's for all of us as Africans, wherever we are in the world. I don't want to hear such nonsense. Yeah, it's just only for one year. No, it's for all of us. African history is for all of us, for Africans at home and abroad. Tena Murray, take care of yourself.
Thank you very much.
Tena Murray, thank you so much. And if anyone else wants to join us before the end of the show, the link is in the chat. I want to rise up Gabrielle. Gabrielle says reparations is a deserving claim against Western countries. But I am curious how to get reparations from Western countries that are going broke. Instead, shouldn't we not be protecting the huge wealth of Africa? Kate Safa, good to have you in the house as well. Kate Safa says, the wicked Western mentality. I've learned that it developed in the Ice Age. Those brutes were greedy and cold, then and still are. You know, that's right. Until we actually get to know the nature of the former colonizers, you know, their history, you know, of brutality, of savagery, you know, of genocide, unless we really get to know the nature of the people who we are dealing with. And I think most of us in the diaspora know of their nature, probably more so than those on the continent. We really need to let them know, you know, that a leopard never changes its spots. It might be able to disguise their true nature and their true characteristics, but we have to know the nature of the people that we were dealing with. And this is what Haiti did very successfully way back then. You know, they understood the nature of the people who they were having to fight against. And once they understood that, they knew what needed to be done, and they did what needed to be done. Now we need to understand the nature of the people that we're dealing with, and our history makes it clear what their nature is. And we've got to take back control of our land, control of our businesses, control of our education, control of our agriculture, control of, you know, the clothing industry that clothes us. We've got to take back control of everything. There's a video, Elder Chaba, that's gone viral around the UK. A young man launched a campaign very successfully. He put it out there to the community that none of us should buy hair and beauty products from any non-African business for the entire month of September. And then he set out what he thought the impact is likely to be as a result of this campaign if we were to all participate in it. And it gained considerable traction. And the vast majority, I'm sure, of our community will not be purchasing any hair or beauty products from non-Africans throughout the month of September. But you know what would be really revolutionary, Elder Akyaaba? What would be really revolutionary is if we as Africans were to make the decision that we are the ones who are going to take over and take control of that multi-billion hair and beauty industry. What would be revolutionary is if our men decided that they're going to come together and they're going to take over that industry. That is what the real revolution of the hair and beauty industry would look like. When we take it over, when we are the ones who are controlling it, when it's our men who are the ones who are sourcing the products from Black-owned providers and suppliers across the continent, the Caribbean, and in the diaspora, and when we are the ones who are taking control of that industry. That's what would be revolutionary. And that's just one sector, the hair and beauty sector, multi-billion pound industry. Let me tell you this, I would rather buy from a brother on the high street than any other nation selling hair and beauty products on my local high street. And I know that 99% of us women would rather be spending our hard-earned money with people who look like us if they were the ones who had those businesses, especially if it was our men who are running those industries, because we know that we need to support our men, because when our men become strong, our families become strong. And when our families become strong, our communities become strong. And when our communities become strong, our nations become strong. And so we must build the men in our community. Men, make that revolutionary act and take over the hair and beauty industry. That is where we need to start. What say you, Brother Elder Akyaaba?
Brilliant, 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 brilliant. That has the issue of our hair, particularly that our females, is something that has arrested my mind for years. And now television has become very off-putting for me, because our African brothers and sisters, their hairdo and the clothes that they wear mimic European lifestyle. They all look like wet chicken, you know, how they wear their hair. And it's worse in Africa. It's worse in Africa. So just a couple of weeks ago, I have appealed to some key organizers of the Notting Hill Carnival to think about the wisdom of adopting 2026 Notting Hill Carnival, the theme of our hair, our African personality, our hair, our heritage, our hair, our image, so that we project the African, the hairstyles and hairdos, that we use the carnival, the mass bands, the steel bands, all of them. They use their creative minds to show the majesty of the African hair, the melanin, the antenna, that hair. Please, that is our heritage. That is our definition. And that is the appeal that I have sent to some key members of the Carnival leadership. So what you are saying, what the young man has embarked on about the hair and the beauty products is right online, right online. The ancestors are speaking to us. They are speaking to us. So please, listeners in your communities, add your voice to this and get your mass bands to prepare to make the issue of our hair the theme for Carnival 2026, come the bank holiday of August 2026. I am appealing to you to force the committee, the Carnival committee, force them, their hands. But it is you, it is you, it is your creativity that gives content and form to Carnival. It is the costumes that you design, the clothes that you design, that come on the road, that defines the Carnival. So you take that initiative that we are going to project our hair. We are going to project our hair come Carnival 2026.
We've got our work cut out with regards to Carnival, my elder. You know, sorry, I was saying we've got our work cut out when it comes to Carnival, our elder. It's not even under our control anymore. Unfortunately, you know, the Carnival has been hijacked. It has been taken over by people who don't look like us. And the vast majority of the income that comes in from Carnival is not going back into our community. So we need to take back control of the Carnival. It's organizing, the organizing of it, the management of it, and yes, also in terms of the themes, like the one that you have suggested. And, you know, we would want to encourage the few of us who are still involved from our community to have public meetings, to organize public meetings so we can talk about what's happening behind the scenes regarding the control and the mismanagement of Carnival so that we can take it back. And, you know, we are so creative as a people. People, when we create, very importantly, keep control of our creativity. Stop selling out. Stop trying to cross over so that you can make paper money from it. Because when you do that, you're giving away the control of your creativity, and it has all sorts of problems. Maya, I'm just going to quickly go over to the chat. Let's see if we've got any questions there that you may want to respond to. Kate Sefal.
Oh, you are frozen. Yeah, you are frozen, but getting
right
from the theme of what you said.
In the house, what's Afrique? Okay. Mm-hmm.
But if it's about the Carnival, I would like to make it clear to our listeners and viewers that I was involved in the Carnival in the 80s. I was the operations manager of the Notting Hill Carnival from 1989 to 1993. And it pains me that the work that we've done or we did to professionalize the Carnival, make it accountable, and to generate income so that you can be self-reliant has come to naught because of internal problems. The same thing that faces Carnival faces us in Africa, whereby our creativity, we don't control our resources and minerals. It's the same thing. We brought about the Carnival and it's been taken over because of internal infighting. And the same thing was happening in the 80s. And Claire Holder, myself, and Chris Norte, And of course, Ansel Wong and others, we came on the scene and totally reorganized and rebranded the carnival and increased the attendance from 600,000 to 2 million, which is still going. That was what we did. And it was only a handful of us. Chris Noste was the financial controller. Claire Holder was the executive chair. And I was the operations manager on the ground. And we managed to run it. But we were lucky that we had an enlightened leadership in Hammersmith and Kensington and Chelsea. And they supported us because we set up an accounting system that we could account for every single penny that came in as income and that went out as expenditure. We could account. So they were happy. And that attracted investors. So I know what is going on. I know what is going on. I'm at pains, but it is our carnival. And the problem is internal, the same way the problem exists in Africa, the same way that we are selling out in Haiti, the same way that we are selling out in Sudan, the same way that we are selling out in South Africa. That is it internal, that we have to deal with. And that is why I say that to deal with that, as Nkrumah told us, that is Africa. As Africa, if you own Africa and you let Africa, the question of governance in Africa be your concern, then we will be on the right path to total liberation, even in the diaspora. So far as Africa Center is not holding, our centers elsewhere are not holding. And the carnival is a typical example. We have to hold our center together. That is the responsibility. That is the responsibility. There are things that I speak to you in Proverbs, because there are some things that I cannot say. I cannot utter and say. But all that I can tell you is that take lesson from the 5th Pan-African conference that took place in Manchester. Take lessons from that. Then ask yourself, how many were they? And look at the impact that they made on the continent, in the Caribbean, everywhere. The impact that they made, how many were they? Think about that. Then how many are we now? So enlightened and so endowed.
Elder Akyaaba,
that is the challenge facing us.
Yeah, you've given us so many examples there, you know, of firstly, where when a few of us come together without the level of creativity that we have, we can do so much. We can achieve so much. But also, you know, sadly, when we do accomplish greatness, for some reason, in all of these examples as well, we can see that the infighting happens. And then what most of us don't realize in those examples, like Carnival, Sudan, and up and down the continent and wherever we are, when we start fighting among ourselves, basically we're just opening the doors for our former colonizers to come in and take over and take control, because they just watch us develop our creativity, watch us establish something fantastic that they're not able to do. And they just sit back and they know at some point we're just basically going to implode, because we have a problem that we've got to overcome. And that problem is our ability to be able to work together. Elder Akyaaba, when I go up and down the continent and I go to many of these supermarkets, they're not owned by us. These supermarkets are owned by Indians, they're owned by Chinese. And you go in their supermarkets and there could be 12, 20 Indians in that shop. They're all carrying out their work. They're managing, their responsibility seamlessly. They're working together, and sadly, sometimes you go into some of our shops and we're arguing and fighting among ourselves. And so we've got to, family, if we're going to take back control of all of what we're entitled to, and we must take back control of our industries, our businesses and everything, we're going to have to learn to work together. And if we've got disputes, we must discuss those disputes in private. We shouldn't be airing our dirty washing in public, so to speak. We have to learn to deal with our disputes and not allow the great things that we have built, to be taken away from under our feet because we're too busy fighting each other. Elder Akyaaba, we've got just a few minutes left for you to leave us with some closing remarks. I thank you so, so much as well as we close out, for everything that you have imparted in our spirit today. Family, if you've been listening, you know what you need to do as individuals and within your families and within your networks, your Pan-African networks. It's about putting our business ideas together, doing the work to establish those business ideas, maintaining control of those businesses, especially once it becomes successful and profitable, and learning how to resolve our disputes privately and confidentially, and so that we don't allow outsiders to come in and take over. Elder Akyaaba, let me ask you kindly to leave us with some closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Sister Shanice. Thank you very much. And our viewers and listeners, what comes to mind clearly is this, that in 2027, October, we will be marking the 40th anniversary of Black History Month. And we are thinking of major events to celebrate that 40th anniversary. Black History Month is yours. It is your space. We have a whole month dedicated to us. Black History Month is yours. The same as the August bank holiday we call the Carnival. That space is yours. So I am going to appeal to you all to put your creative antennas on and try to fill 2027 October with great content. Think as how you are going to express this wonderful milestone that we have reached. Think about how you are going to organize activities. Think about how you are going to get your local boroughs, your libraries, your hospitals, and everywhere you want to carry up the theme of Black History Month. Because during Black History Month, what we do is we pay tribute to our common humanity and celebrate the diversity of it all. People are having problems with diversity, equality, inclusion. They are having problems with it. But what we must think about is, why did it prompt the representatives of citizens in the UK in Parliament to debate and pass the Race Relations Act and the subsequent amendments, then also the Human Rights and Equality Acts? Wrong with the United Kingdom. And I'll tell you what the secret is. White supremacy order, the order of white supremacy, has become a quicksand underneath the Western society. It is white supremacy that is going to bring down Western society, nothing else. It is white supremacy. And it is happening in the Americas. Look at Trump. It is white supremacy that is going to bring itself down. They have placed a quicksand underneath the whole white supremacist order, supremacist empire. And our humanity will reign supreme. And it is our humanity and our melanin and our energy that has kept the world going. All the barbarism of capitalism, all the barbarism of liberalism. Look at Palestine. Look at Palestine. Huh? And look at Haiti. Look at Congo. Look at Sudan. It's all their handiwork. It's the handiwork of white supremacy, and it cannot continue. So come October 2027, please let your creativity run riot. Let your creativity and sense of innovation run riot. Yes. And fill it with rich cultural content that represents you as an African. Let the African personality that Nkrumah spoke about, let it flower, let it blossom. 2027 is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Elder Akyaaba family. Wow, you've got your work cut out. You've heard the agenda. You've heard our elder speak. You've heard what we have been commissioned to do as a people. We've got our work to do for 2027, Black History Month, for Carnival 2026. And we've also, for the short and long term, got our work cut out in terms of taking back control of everything to do with us as a people. We cannot sit back and allow others to do for us what we need to be doing for ourselves. Elder Akyaaba, as always, it's been an absolute privilege and an honor to hear you on the show today. Thank you for taking control at the beginning of the show when we were having all of the technical challenges my end. Much appreciated, love. To everyone in the chat for all your comments that I've been reading and that we've all been reading. Thank you so much. And there was someone in the chat that said, you know, if we don't make anything, then where is it? I've lost it, and it's such a shame because I did want to quote it. But basically, we were being reminded that we need to take control and responsibility for making and being the makers of everything that we need. More strength, more power to each and every one of you. All being well, I'll be back next strong. Sister Shanice out of here for now. Stay powerful, family. One love. Thank you, my elder. Stay strong and powerful. We love you. More love.